I love you.
What is going on, everybody? This is Mike Hughes, and you're listening to the Shy Kid and Everything Chicago Sports-related podcast. We're breaking it down tonight. The Chicago Cubs fall to the Kansas City Royals 0-4 in game number 12 of spring training 2024. Let's break it down. Let's get into it. There was a lot of things that happened. Caleb Killian gets the start on the bump for the Chicago Cubs, his first start of spring training, which I was really excited about, man. This was going to be a huge moment for Caleb Killian. If he had another moment of success going into 2024 spring training, there was a possibility going into this game, and there still is a relatively good possibility. We just have to see what the news is coming out of camp and what's going to potentially happen in the next couple of days with him and his health. We're going to get into that in a little bit, but there was a shot that he made the opening day roster potentially as a fifth or sixth starter in the Cubs rotation. He's been absolutely flawless thus far. It's unfortunate today. He left the third inning after shaking his hand off, and Joe Hudson comes out and says, "Hey, listen, trainer, we got to get you out here. Something's not right." I'm not sure on the severity of the injury right now. Nothing's being indicated or reported, but it's going to be very disappointing if Caleb Killian goes down for any significant amount of time. He has been absolutely cooking. He has been throwing harder than he ever has before. I don't and this is just me. I'm no doctor. I'm not examining him. I haven't seen what's happened. I'm not going to sit up here today and say this is UCL related. Now, can it be? Sure. But I'm not going to say it has anything to do with his elbow, anything to do with the mechanics. We'll just have to wait and see what happens with a guy like Caleb Killian. I'm very upset that we're at this point right now because, going into today, he allows one hit in the third inning. He goes 2 innings pitched. I mean, he was absolutely flawless. Now, it's at the end of the day, it is what it is. There's not much we can do about it. It just, injuries happen. But Caleb has had such a rough start to his career thus far with the Cubs, obviously acquiring him in exchange for Chris Bryant to the San Francisco Giants in 2021, along with Alexander Canario. And we've seen how Canario has already made it to the big league level. Caleb's had some small stints. Him and Hayden Wesneski kind of traded off for a couple years. But he was really, man, I mean, Caleb was the talk of the town for me, and it's not Caleb Williams. This is Caleb Killian. Was making an amazing stride for making that opening day roster as a fifth starter. So I'm very disappointed in today's injuries. But there was a lot to break down, a lot of positives to take from it. He had a great start. I think, maybe you shouldn't have kept him for that third inning, but that's in hindsight. You know what I mean? You want to see him continue to go. But it'll be interesting to see if he can bounce back, the severity of that injury, and we'll keep you guys up to date with everything Caleb Killian news. But with that being said, man, breaking it down, getting into it, what else did we see from today? Obviously, Caleb Killian had an amazing start prior to the injury, but Ben Brown comes in relief, AAA Iowa reliever, AAA Iowa starter reliever in this game. Ben Brown was absolutely solid for the Chicago Cubs last season prior to his injury later in the year. I thought he was going to be one of those guys that could have potentially got a September call-up if he didn't go down with an injury, but we'll have to see how he continues to have success. He had 1 strikeout today, 0 hits, and 2 innings pitched coming in relief for Caleb Killian. I absolutely loved it, but, it's one of those things where guys like Ben, guys like Cade, guys like Caleb and Hayden, Javier, there's a bunch of guys right now that are trying to make that rotation spot, but might have to come out of the bullpen if they're going to make the opening day roster or just be a part of the Cubs 40-man roster in 2024. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Today's a shorter episode. My last takeaway, we're going to get into this because we're only doing our top 3 takeaways. Then I got to get out of here. Is going to be Matt Shaw. Matt Shaw had an absolutely phenomenal performance today defensively in the hot corner, had to start at third base. In 2 at-bats, he had 1 walk and 0 hits, but had a phenomenal play at third base that was out of this world. You know, he's giving you questions. Hey, maybe at some point we're looking at Matt Shaw, pardon me, as the future third baseman of the Chicago Cubs. Almost called him Matt Chapman after the way he was playing today. But with that being said, man, I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Appreciate you guys for being here. Shorter episode today, just doing our top 3 takeaways from today's game. Thoughts and prayers are going to be with Caleb Killian. We're hoping to get better news from that tomorrow. I'm excited to see what happens with the Cubs moving forward. This was game number 12 of spring training for the Chicago Cubs. Until then, make sure you hit that follow button for everything Chicago Cubs related content. Check you guys out later. Peace.